So your soul said it was dying, and if you didn't leave, it would die.
I can't do this. I don't know. I can't be on this train with everybody else. It felt like something is knocking on my chest from the inside and like screaming and like, go the fuck out of here. And it really felt like my soul is shrinking and if I'm dying from the inside. It's looked everything perfect on paper. Being in Berlin, getting this amazing publishing job, and I'm standing there with everybody and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't go at 8 a.m. to this office job and leave at 4 p.m. If I'm like following this path, everybody else following, I'm just gonna die. I knew I'm like maybe like suicidal in 5 years or so. Like, I'm not kidding, because it felt like this is hell for me. I asked the universe to send me signs. The next day, I woke up and I got this message on Facebook from this woman who invited me to Morocco. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Start to trust this inner voice, trust my own soul. When you have the calling, and when you put energy into something, it's gonna work out. It's maybe not like work out.
Today I have Wiebke Tasch, a fellow German, with me on the call, so I'm super excited to have this phone conversation. And Wiebke is going to take it to a place that is a place that many of us are at. And Wiebke, I'm going to dive right in with you. So your soul said it was dying, and if you didn't leave, it would die. What does that mean? Take us to the moment where you had this massive decision right in front of you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And I'm from Germany. I lived in Germany the majority of my life. And after I finished college, I did my master degrees and I knew, okay, now it's the time to decide what you're going to do with your life. And I kind of extended this period a little bit. I did in Canada, a work and holiday thing, and came back to Germany and started working. And I had this, I felt like a depression in me I can't do this. For example, being in Berlin, standing in the train at 4 p.m. with everybody else, I'm there looking around me and I'm like, I can't do this. I don't know. I can't be on this train with everybody else. I need to find something else. And I didn't know what to do, but it felt like something is knocking on my chest from the inside and screaming and go the fuck out of here. And it really felt like my soul is shrinking. This is the best way I can describe it. And if I'm dying from the inside.
I'm going to interject here for a minute because I think this is so critical right now in the environment that we are in. So you're saying that you did everything right. So you did school, you were a good student, you went to college, you followed all the path, and then you're standing in the tram with everybody else and you go, I don't belong here. Was this like a sudden thing, or had this been building, or was this the moment where you went, oh shit, I am at the wrong place at the wrong time?
So this was for sure building. And I always did some gap year things. And I lived in Argentina when I was 21 for a year and always came back to Germany. And always when I came back a little bit different, but nothing changed in my environment where I came back to. My family, my friend circle was the same conversations, everything was the same. So, and I didn't know that this inner urge became so strong over time, but it was for sure building up. And then when I stand in a tram at 4 p.m., I actually just came from an interview with a big German publisher, and I got the job, and I was standing there and I'm like, I can't do this. It's looked everything perfect on paper. And being in Berlin, everybody wants to be in Berlin when you're German, getting this amazing publishing job. And I'm standing there with everybody And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't go at 8 a.m. to this office job and leave at 4 p.m. And I know I make like a decent amount of money and everybody, it looks perfect on the outside. But this was my, like, the turning point of like, no, I'm going to go full in what I'm doing. And I already, like, at this point started self-publishing before. And I had like little success and little sales came in. And I knew what I'm doing is super risky. Like, don't get this publishing job, like the security and like this long-term thing, and sign up for something which is like super risky. It's no guarantee. And I did, and I'm glad I did, but it was really hard. But at the same time, I knew if I'm like following this path everybody else following, I'm just gonna die. I knew, and it sounds so weird, but I knew my soul is dying. Like I knew I'm like maybe like suicidal in 5 years or so. Like I'm not kidding, because it felt like this is hell for me. This is like, I'm not supposed to do this, even if it looks like perfect on the outside.
I relate to this. When I was a photo editor at Elle magazine in Germany, and I'm 23, and everybody goes, your life is amazing. You're around the fashion, you're around all these interesting people, models, photographers. People would have killed to have this job. And I felt the exact same way, that I knew I was at the wrong place and that I wasn't supposed to be here, that I was supposed to be somewhere else. I had no idea what that meant. But and you said the word hate, but yeah, it's kind of like that. You go and you say, I know something's really, really off. So now you're standing there and you have this burden of this sitting on top of you. So the inner voice told you, you got to go somewhere else. You got to do something else. What do you do? What do you do next?
So I came home and I asked the universe to send me a sign, because I have no idea what to do. And I think it was the next day, I woke up and I got this message on Facebook from this woman who invited me to Morocco for like a women empowerment 10 days workshop. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this, because I asked for a sign. This is like a clear sign. So I went to Morocco and with this group of women. And it was, I have to say, it was end of February 2020. And I decided also, okay, I'm going to stay a little bit longer in Morocco. And I had like no idea about, obviously, COVID is coming soon. So I went to Morocco and spent this amazing 10 days with those women. And we did a lot of like visualization, past life regression, like hypnosis. And it really helped me to start to trust this inner voice and trust this knocking, like trust my own soul. And there were women who were like in their 40s, 50s, and I asked them, so if I listen to this, does it work out? Like, am I okay in the long run? And they all said the same thing. Yeah, when you have the calling, like, and when you put energy into something, it's going to work out. It's maybe not like work out, you go from A to B, more like walking in like in a zigzag line, but it's going to work out. And I trusted this. So I stayed longer in Morocco, then COVID hit. But this experience with those women were so important for me, because I started connecting with other women, and they were like all working like as a freelancer and had their own businesses and were like coaches and therapists. So I actually started working with those women and helped them like publishing books. So this was also my start of my like own business and like the first few steps I took. And then COVID hit, and I actually really liked it because I stayed in Morocco until June. I had so much time to work on my own business, like website, and like figure out like an offer and pricing and everything. And I started having the clients came in. And because everybody had so much time, I really had like so many people reached out to me. So this was my beginning of listen to my own voice. Didn't get the job or didn't took the job as the publishing job in Berlin, and just like went full in, went to Morocco, and then starting like step by step, figuring out how to do my own thing.
That's really, really a powerful story. In my case, and just to draw so the parallel for our listener, I left everything. I sublet my apartment, and in 6 weeks I quit my job, and I was with a suitcase on a plane going to Key West living on a houseboat just to figure out what the heck I was going to do next. And I remember that when I was sitting in this plane, I was sitting next to a guy who had like full on body eczema and he was scratching and itching the entire flight. And and it was kind of like a visual sort of what I was feeling, right? And I'm thinking to myself, you must be absolutely nuts to do this, to leave the security and the plan. Now, I remember very vividly, and I want to ask you this, that for me, one of the worst parts about having been successful this young was that I felt that I knew what the rest of my life was meant to be, especially in Germany. Did that factor in for you as well? Did you have that thought where you go, oh my God, now that's it, I'm done?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, also the family I come from, very Catholic. My mom is actually a mayor where I grown up, so everybody knows you, and everybody had laid out a plan for your life. You're like a typical, you're the daughter of, so you have to like do this and this. And this scared me. Like I got like just thinking about it, I think I got like panic attacks. And again, it was just my an inner knowing I don't want to do this. I don't want to like live like everybody else. And of course having like the security and the safety and like the long term, etc. But I knew I can't do this. I don't want to do like the average German lifestyle. You study something, then you get married, you have a house, you have a car, yeah, you follow this path everybody else is following. I didn't know what to do, but like even in my 20s, I knew I'm not gonna do like the same thing everybody else did. And I kind of like extended my studies, I think. I have like 2 bachelor degrees and 1 master. Because in Germany, like studying is for free and I had no idea what to do, and then I just like continue studying. Yeah, but when I was 30 and working in Berlin and did everything everybody dreamed of, and I really felt this, and I feel this urge. And like I said, like my soul was knocking on my chest from the inside. Like if I don't leave now, I'm gonna die, or I'm gonna get very depressed and very unhealthy if I'm not leaving.
I completely understand. I went through the exact same process. So now the question our audience is going to ask. So, but how did you emotionally manage that? Because this, I think, is what many people struggle with, is the actual transition. They do hear the voice. They're very clear that they're not meant to do this, but they have to make the money. They have to show up. They have obligations. They have families. What did you do that you managed this turmoil that I am sure was boycotting this decision on whether we call it the ego or we call it generational information that you were carrying, specifically in Germany, where things have to be done a particular way? And there's really, this whole country is built up on, after World War I and World War II, reducing mistakes and being perfect so nobody can criticize you. So you're up against all of that. How did you emotionally fight your way through it? Because that cannot have been easy, Wiebke.
No, and I think it was a lot of like tools I learned over the years. Like when I was in Canada, I actually learned meditation. So I started like meditating every day, and I started like connecting with my own feelings because nobody ever told this or like
No,
told me
in Germany,
before how to
feelings are
like
not
connect
good.
with your own.
Completely
No,
verboten.
yeah. So I learned this actually in Canada. It's like, okay, like I have feelings. And also like I learned that my feelings don't need to control my decisions. Like going behind my feelings and like calming myself down and like working with meditation. And then in this like empowerment workshop in Morocco, I learned through those women, I learned so much, like trusting yourself, like trusting the voice, understand that you can create your own life, which I never heard before. I was always thinking, okay, I'm the victim of my circumstance, if it's like good or bad. Like I have to like follow what I already have and like just keep going. And then I learned, no, I can actually create my own life and like my own story and my feelings and everything, or my fear doesn't has to be like in between. And also very big part, it was like writing. Like I wrote every day, like journaling or diaries, and like taught myself to like stay in alignment with what I want, like listening to my own thoughts and feelings and decide if I really want to like follow this or them, or if I like want to create my own, reality and follow this. And it's not like something like you do once and then your whole life change. It's really like a practice over days and weeks and months. And then slowly you see like your new realities unfolding, like people coming to you, you starting having clients. I start making money on my own. And this was like a little confirmation step by step to, oh, I can do this. And this also helped me, to regulate my emotions.
Quick question in that. Was you, and pardon me for interrupting you on this, but were you looking for evidence that your new path was the right path? Because because I just had this conversation the other day with my husband, and I said to him, "You looking for evidence that things are difficult, and therefore things are difficult. Were you looking for things that confirmed that you were on the right path, and then you followed the breadcrumbs, or were you?" Because it sounds like you didn't give in to the fear. I don't even know what exactly the question is that I want to ask, but you know what I mean? Can you explain? Because I know there's such a push-pull at that decision moment that you were at. Take us through that, because I think that's really important for people to hear.
So I just had a knowing. So I wasn't looking for any evidence. I just had a knowing, like a deep inner knowing to follow my own path. And in German, we say like follow your heart. So I was like following my heart and my heart desires. And so I wasn't looking for evidence that just showed up, and it was kind of like a confirmation I'm on the right path. That's kind of, I feel it's a different. Something like a déjà vu. That's also important. So I was following my heart, and I was just following what felt right for me in this moment. And I didn't have like a whole picture, and I never pictured today I'm running a US based publishing agency. I just was like going step by step, felt into it if it feels right, using like meditation technique for doing it, and just try to stay truthful to myself. You know what I mean? And I had like a lot of like little déjà vus, like where, for example, I'm standing somewhere like at the beach in Morocco, and suddenly I felt, oh, I had a dream about this a few weeks ago or like a few months ago. And this was my little like milestones confirmation I'm on the right path. And yeah, so I was just following my inner knowing, and then got the like outer confirmation helping me to like build this path into something sustainable.
Do you think that you finding your voice was instrumental in you choosing this business to help other people find their voice?
Yeah, 100%. And if you believe in soul purpose, I really think this is my way, like my purpose, because I actually started writing when I was like 9 or 10. I started like journaling, and then I was like working for newspapers, PR agencies, and then almost for a big publisher. And writing was always something very important for me. And through writing, I found my own voice. And I always as well loved nonfiction books, because for me, nonfiction teaches you how to transform your own life and how to find your own voice. And fiction is more how to escape life, basically, into fiction stories. And so I always loved nonfiction, and the whole process for me, like finding my own voice, structuring a nonfiction book, and helping people transform their lives through my own writing was so powerful that I started teaching people how to do the same. Which, by the way, people came to me and asked me how I did it. So I never ever thought I'm going to have my own publishing business and I'm going to help people how to do it. Like my intention in the beginning was I'm just writing, making money, and then live in like Asia or somewhere, like, or go like nonstop traveling. But through the pandemic and through like this empowerment workshop in Morocco, people came to me and I started really enjoying the process of helping other people finding their own voice and using their own life story and writing something very transformative for other people.
I love this a lot. So, what's your differentiation factor? I don't think a week goes by where I don't have 3 people contact me on LinkedIn asking me if I want to write a book. What makes what you do different? Or tell us about the process that you use.
So what I do is, first of all, we start with like a market analysis and positioning. And so we're not like basing a book out of like guesswork or maybe this could work. We really like checking the market demand, search volume, the competition, and see if people like really searching for what you can offer. And also we have to figure out what the author can offer. Like, is this aligned with the market? For example, I had just recently a client from UK. She's helping She's like a digital nomad coach and helping people like building like a location independent business. And she had to focus so much on digital nomad lifestyle in her book, and her book had like 0 sales, and it was like couldn't find the audience. And so we started with a market analysis and then saw, okay, that no one is searching for a digital nomad lifestyle. It's
People don't even know
just
what that means.
yeah. And so, but she was so much in her own bubble and it was working for her for so long. So, you kind of like losing the reality of like what the market demands
Yeah.
and like what
Yeah.
people looking. And then she asked me, oh, maybe I'm early. And I really love this question because it just shows something what is working for you doesn't mean it works in a book. So the very first step we did, like checking the market and see where she can like reposition herself to really like find her audience, and then using the digital nomad lifestyle as like a byproduct of like founding their own like location independent business or like leaving 9 to 5 and escaping, like the hamster wheel, so to speak. And like the digital nomad lifestyle is just a byproduct, like I said. So we're doing this in the beginning. And then from there, we usually either creating an outline for the book based on those market finds. And I developed like years ago a little template using the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell for nonfiction, because I believe nonfiction, the reason people publishing nonfiction should be transforming other people's life. It's not just like an ego-based, I'm
Yeah.
telling my story and hopefully people listen to it. It's more about what can the reader use, how can the reader use this information to imply in their own life and really transform their own life. And I had this experience with books, like with nonfiction books. There are so many powerful books out there, and I kind of like want to apply this framework. So we're using the hero's journey to implying like a new outline, or if the author already wrote a book and it's not selling, we just go over the outline again and like readjusting and redirecting the outline. So this is the very first important like foundation. And it's so important because even if you have like a good cover design and a nice SEO, if the book is not transforming other people's life, which means it's making like free marketing, because it's the best marketing is if someone reads your book and then tell all their friends because it was so powerful. This is what we want to like achieve, and not just like a plain text from like AI or ChatGPT, and it's just the same sentence over and over, same wording. So it doesn't work like this. So we do like a foundational work in the beginning and really checking the market, what can the author bring to it, and matching the market demand and the author's knowledge.
I like this a lot. I think the focus on the audience and the transformation that you want them to go through by the example of the story that you write is really where it's at. And I agree that you said 2 things that I think are important to pointing out. One is that your transformation and understanding what the real issue is or what the outcome is doesn't mean other people know that. Famously, I give the example of the boundary coach that called me, and she says she helps people to set boundaries. And I said, I know you're broke. And she was really offended. And I said, there's not a person on this planet that is looking for a boundary coach, because people who need boundaries don't think that that's their problem. They think they need to figure out how to help other people not to take advantage of them. And so what you're saying is exactly along these lines, is that we believe our own stories so much that we sometimes can't really even see what the actual transformation is that we are going through, which, in my podcast, I put so much emphasis on, like, take me to the moment of when this happened, because I want people to understand that these transformations are often hard work and excruciatingly painful. And it is not uncommon that somebody on this show says, then I die, on whether that would be literally or ego death or the soul's death. Let's not take that literal, but there is something about when you're not stepping into your purpose where something terrible is going to happen to you and your life because you are not listening to the voice of God or your soul or your internal thing. So as we're wrapping this up, tell us, how can somebody find you and learn more about your process?
So I'm mainly on LinkedIn, under Wiebke Tasch. And I have a website, digital-authors.com. And if someone is serious about publishing, the first step before we even do payments and signing up for anything is we doing a market analysis. We checking the market and see, is there any potential or is there not? Most of the cases we find potential in a niche. I had in the past 5 years or so, or 6 years, I had just one author reject, and there was nothing. He was writing about some insects in Costa Rica, so there was no market for it. Anyway, but most of the case, we do a free market analysis and then checking how the author can position themselves, and then we see if the competition is low, if there's any chance for a first-time author to occupy this niche, are people willing to pay, etc. And based on this, we do a decision, okay, is it worth it working together or is it not? And so the very first step we do, if someone is serious, can book a free market analysis with me, and then we're going from there.
Sounds beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Wiebke. It's been a great time having you on the podcast. I always appreciate a fellow German who understands not just the hard work, but also the cultural challenge sometimes you have when you come from a country like Germany. And I'm sure that people who are listening that come from all over the world, that there are things that you also have that are culturally expected from you. And I think in our decision making on how we break out of it and how we become who we were meant to be, we also need to be cognizant that we're not just up against ourselves, but we're also up against this generational investment that our country, our parents, and our ancestors have made in us, and we have to break through this. So thank you so much for being on the show today, Wiebke.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that is it for us for today. So if you are thinking about taking your story and turning your story into words that inspire and transform other people, please reach out to Wiebke. And please share this episode with somebody where you feel that they might not be in their soul's purpose, or you see something about them that is so outstanding and so extraordinary, and they're having a hard time seeing it. Maybe this episode will help them to break through this. And with that, I say goodbye, and until next time. That's it for this episode of the Business Growth Architect Show, Founders of the Future. If you're done playing small and ready to build the future on your terms, subscribe, share, and help us reach more trailblazers like you. And if you're serious about creating, growing, and scaling a business that's aligned with who you are, schedule your Uncovery session at uncoverysession.com. Lead with vision. Move with purpose. Create your future.